Alright, you're a student who wants to surpass the other students and are not happy with being average. You realize that most people are doing nothing. Their day-to-day life consists of nothing high ROI, nothing meaningful in the long run. They wake up, go to school, do average, get home, play video games, death scroll on TikTok till 1 AM, and repeat. You cannot relate. You do notice that some people are doing some high quality things, like hitting the gym, or doing well in studies, or ruthlessly improving themselves, but usually it's one or the other. You know you can do better, and you know that you fit in with the top 1% among students. So how exactly do you go about it? If we haven't met yet, hello, Marin, base rated student on self-improvement, and there are broadly 3 areas to lock in on to surpass 99% of students. And those areas are the study realm, the self-improvement realm, and finally, the unscripted realm. Real quick, if you want my best self-improvement Notion templates that will help you be much more productive, they're the first thing in the description, so do check them out. It's completely free. Now first, we have the studies realm, and we want this to be as efficient and effective as possible, because most people just prioritize this one studies thing and not do anything else. We're not like that, right? We have self-improvement to do, some of us also do business, and we want studies to be effective and make sure that the time that we put in actually leads to the best possible results. I've got a bunch of other stuff on the channel relating to this, on how to get straight A grades without, studying 12-hour days. But essentially, what has helped me the most is to implement something called the Pareto's principle. Basically, right, the Pareto's principle is where 20% of the efforts that you put in results in 80% of the results that you get. There are a few key core actions that you take which result in the most bang for your buck, which results in the most value created. And that 80% of the actions that you do only results to 20% of the results. So that the vast majority of the stuff that you spend your time doing actually only barely moves the needle in terms of your results. And there are much better essential things that you could be doing instead, which are much more worth your time. This Pareto's principle, also referred to as the 80-20 rule, it applies to a lot of different things in life. And especially in studies, you can really use this to spend much less time to get the same or even better result by doing the right thing with that time. So what is the 20% actions, the core essential actions in the studies realm? Well, after a lot of experimenting, I genuinely believe that it's just practice tests and worksheets and questions and stuff like that. They are the real difficult, uncomfortable tasks that will give you the most bang for your buck. And that actually moves the needle. The 80% of things, the things that most students do that waste a shit ton of time but barely get any results, is stuff like highlighting or taking pretty notes, studying with friends, fucking Pomodoro technique, which is just shallow work, flashcards, all of that stuff. Most students spend ages, they spend hours doing all this garbage, and then they wonder why it didn't translate that well over to the exams and stuff. Essentially, the highest performance students, what they basically do is just practice test after practice test after practice test, and that gives them the best bang for their buck. Gives them the most value for the time that they put in to get the best result possible. But most people, right, they skip out on that because that is usually the most uncomfortable and hard part about studying as a student. It's the practice worksheets that you have to do for the exam. And stuff like studying with friends, you can 100% do it if you find it fun. It's just that you shouldn't prioritize it, because that won't... Fucking karma. Bro, just visualize how awesome it would be to get so much better grades for less of your time put into it, just because you do a key right things and you have a right approach to this kind of stuff. And with the extra time spent, you can put it into your goals, you can have fun, you can do hobbies, whatever it may be. Another thing that has helped me a lot is something called Parkinson's law. The law basically states that the work expands to the time that you give it. So for example, if you have an essay that is due and you have to hand it in from a month from now, it's gonna end up ultimately taking you that 1 month to do the entire essay. Whereas if another essay was due in a week, but it was of the same difficulty and stuff, you would find that you would do the essay in the week, and it would take you a week. Whatever deadline that you give a task, that's usually the amount that it fills up to. And we can abuse this, right? Because the deadlines that most teachers give, they're far too fucking long, I don't know, to compensate for the less competent students out there. But we can set artificial deadlines for ourselves that we stick hard and fast to, and that would just result in you getting the work done much earlier and being ahead of the game. Bro, it's not auspicious to have your mind plagued by the same bullshit assignment for weeks, when in reality it should take no longer than a couple of days. Most students out here doing fucking Pomodoro technique, studying with friends, drinking sugar-loaded lattes, whilst we're over here just banging it out over a couple of days with some actual efficient deep work sessions, so that we can focus on other more real-world realms of life, like the next two, self-improvement and unscripted. Alright, it's just a couple of days later, but the next two realms are where the average student doesn't even think about. So this is where you can really surpass most students. So about the self-improvement realm, many young guys, due to people like Andrew Tate, Hamza, they all have started going to the gym, but still a very few of them I've found have the actual seriousness and discipline to go to the gym consistently and actually hit their full length hard workouts. Like most people, like some of the guys that I know, they just go to the gym to have fun and play around and don't really take it that seriously. Maybe they do a couple of exercises here and there, but not a consistent, auspicious workout routine that they routinely follow. And I've also found that when you go to the gym with your friends, yeah, a couple of times it can be nice and it will be a fun experience, especially if your gym bro is disciplined and is helping you push forward. But most of the time, it's just more of a distraction than a help. So the best case scenario that works for me is to just go to the gym alone and do your workout session there. And on top of that, if you want, you can of course, have some fun in the gym with your friends. That sounds weird. Do like workout challenges or whatever. The second thing is not to be fully obsessed with self-improvement. Now, I know this might sound contradictory, but it's really not favorable to make it such a huge part of your life and broadcast it everywhere to the world that I'm on self-improvement, guys. Instead, it's much better to just improve quietly in your background, stick to your own life, and let the results speak for itself. Don't get me wrong, self-improvement is a beautiful and lifelong thing. There is always more to learn, always more to develop, always more to conquer, but just don't make it like your entire personality, like you're an insecure kid who has to improve himself. You just do it on the side because you know that stuff's auspicious and it will lead to a much better life. The secret, so as to say, that has worked really well for me, which I'm just going to give it to you, I don't really care, is to do a one-time thing of setting up a habit tracker where you log down all the self-improvement habits that you have, and every day you tick off the habits one by one, and your goal is to simply make sure all the boxes are ticked. This is my habit tracker and it's so fun and efficient. Literally, all you have to do is set it up once, and of course you can refine it over time. But you just put the habits down like cold shower, visualizations, meditations, whatever, and you just follow it mindlessly without putting any of your thoughts and efforts into it. Because you know that if you just follow it for a long enough time, then the compounding will take effect, because most self-improvement habits out there require you to be consistent with it for a long enough time, which is why most people quit before the results actually compound. So having a habit tracker will allow you to be consistent with it for a long enough time, whilst not even devoting any thoughts or that much attention to it. And finally, we've got the unscripted realm. We've got the escape the matrix realm. Basically, when I'm doing something that the 99% of students don't do, so that you can set up yourself and your family, like financial wise. And with any business that's out there, whether that be copywriting or agency or dropshipping or whatever, the secret is to simply stick with it long enough for the compounding to take effect. Most people aren't even aware with this or don't care enough, and they're going to be, as Tate says, brokies, wagies, whatever you want to call them.
Someone has to fucking flip the burgers, dumbass!
And the next level of students is that they're somewhat awake, but they still keep flipping around business models and don't stick at one for long enough for the results to actually compound. This I learned from Alex Ramouli, the fact that all business models have the potential to work, and that you just have to find the one that you love doing and enjoy the process of, so you can stick with it long enough and keep going. One thing that I do want to add in is not to neglect your studies just to escape the matrix or whatever. It's like, bro, come on, don't be brainwashed by Tate, never blindly follow anyone, not even me, right? But instead just take the most auspicious, favorable advice from each place. I suggest making the studies world as systemized and efficient as possible, so that you can focus on the real world and not end up being a 9-to-5 wagey, as Tate says. You can, provide for your future family, make sure your wife doesn't have to work a shit job that she hates, and can instead live worry-free, following her real passions and be happy. All that auspicious stuff. So if you got this far, bro, do check out my personal Notion templates that I use the most as a straight A student. That's a way of making your studies much more systemized and efficient. And I also have my personal gym workout routine in there if you want. You can get some inspiration or just straight up steal it. Click here if you want to learn more about how I 80/20 my studies. And as always, your potential is only limited by your intention. Take care, bro.